I'm Peter Sandberg, and I'm a Swedish neoclassical composer. Yeah, that's basically it. Well, I get asked quite a lot what neoclassical music is. I think today it's more like it's modern classical music. It's current with the times and the age of today. And what I find is the best thing about neoclassical music is that you are allowed to do whatever you want. So I've noticed that a lot of my colleagues around the world, they started out as classical musicians, and then in my own case, I started out as a classical composer, no, a classical pianist, and then I got tired of it. So I tried to do my own thing instead, and using all that knowledge that I had, and I broke all the rules, so to say, and just made whatever I wanted, and it's been great. Yeah, so my background within classical music is I started out like wanting to be like a proper classical pianist, like concert pianist, and traveling the world and playing with different orchestras and so on. But I did that fully engaged for like a lot of years, but then after a while I just fell out in love with it. So I lost my passion about it, and I just felt like there's so many other people that are so great at what they're doing, and there are like thousands of pianists that are so much greater than I, and they play these old pieces that are centuries old, and you're supposed to play it in a certain way and so on. And I just got into a very bad like mindset, and I didn't want to do it anymore. But it gave me so much having that knowledge, and I feel like I can utilize that very well now when composing in a neoclassical way or modern classical, or it could differ, but I usually, when I'm composing, I'm starting by the piano, and I'm just improvising things and just trying things out. And I've learned the hard way that I need to record myself while doing this. If I have like I'm on a mission to find a new piece. Like if I'm very confident, okay, let's do some new music, then I need to record myself, and then I just spend a whole day just improvising. And I realize that sometimes I'm just playing the same thing all over again, but sometimes I find a little musical seed that I'm like, oh right. So instead of stopping, I try to develop that and keep the flow going. So I keep the inspiration persona of myself happy. But it's some of the pieces I've done. I also have a piano in my house, in the living room. It's actually a Danish piano, a wonderful little chamber piano. So that's my shitty piano that can be in the house, so the kids can play it without ruining it, because it's awful anyway. But it's like good awful. Anyway, but it's great to have that in the house, because when you're in the middle of everything, the chaos that is life, then you can you eventually find like 20 minutes of peace, or like 5 minutes here and there, and you just sit down by the piano and you just play some chords, and then all of a sudden you are finding that musical seed that you want to, and then it's like, oh my god, this was great, and then you pull up your phone and do a voice memo of it quickly, and then it's like, oh daddy, you need to do this, and you're off again. So, but I love those. It's just like random thoughts that like pop up and then it goes away. So it's so important to be listen to all those and just be mindful that they can like pop up every now and then. So when playing, I'm very like, oh, I should probably record this just in case. So did I have a changing moment when I just knew that I was gonna play the piano? Well, I think I have I don't know if it is actually the moment where I knew and the sky opened and the angels were singing and so on. But I have a very fond memory when I've just started playing for a teacher, and I've been playing for a couple of months and playing Mozart and all like random scales and so on. And I was really like eager to learn, but it wasn't like super exciting. But then my teacher, bless his soul, he gave me a piece, a toccata of Khachaturian, I think, and it was like the first proper kind of an intermediate piece, and you had all these sheets that you needed to like stick together, and it was like this whole new world for me, and I was like so happy about this. And then I showed my parents, and they were like, oh wow, there's so much black dots all over. I was like, yeah. And then I started, and that was like, everything went so smoothly, and I connected so well to that piece. And it was, then I really like, that was the first time that I felt like, yeah, I'm a real piano player now. This could be really cool. And it was like, I could put all my emotions into this piece, and it was like so fun, because you could like really slam on the piano. And it was
How old were you?
I think I were around 15, so it was quite late, but I was like so eager, and I just realized that I could use all my excessive energy into my music and the piano. And funny enough, when I rehearsed that piece, I snapped my first bass string on the piano, so that was like rock and roll.
Now you made it.
Yeah.
Breaking the piano. It's like Franz Liszt dreams.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. How did I end up in Stranger Things? That's a good question. I don't know really. I think it's like three things. I think. Well, for the first, I've like really taken my time learning and like to create music, and I've like really put in a lot of energy and willpower to become an artist, or not an artist, but a composer. And like my dream after ditching the piano playing dream. I just wanted to be like a film composer, and because I felt like that's really something that I want to build on. But so I think I've really like taken my time learning my craft, and I'm very proud of what I've achieved, and what I'm still learning so much about my craft. But on the second thing, I think I spent this couple of years building a very strong team around me. So I have all sorts of helpful personas all over that can help me, from the label, publishing, or management, or whatever it may be. I'm fortunate enough to have a very strong team around me that helps me like grow and move forward. And thirdly, I think it's also, and I hate to say it, but it's luck. You need to have a fair amount of luck to be able to make it, because it doesn't matter if you are this amazing artist or composer. If you do amazing music and then nobody hears it, or people hear it but not the right people, then it doesn't matter. So I've been very fortunate that I had the right people hearing my music at the right time, and I've been like very fortunate that they like it and want to use it on different series or films and so on. Yeah, so at the beginning of this year, I did a collaboration with Calm, the app, and that was I was approached last year about doing a bespoke piece for them, and it's right up my alley because I like my music tend to move towards that, and the soothing, peaceful sound and feeling. Anyway, so but it was a great experience, and it was a little bit funny how it came to be the actual music, because I was this was a month after we had our third kid, and I was walking around the house, just cradling him in my arm, just trying to put him to sleep. And then I just sat down by the piano in my house, my Danish piano again, and I just started, but my right arm was occupied by the baby, so I started playing with my left hand and came into this little, or I started experimenting with this theme, just a simple chord progression, and evolving that very, very slowly into, so you almost end up in some sort of trance, and I sat there for maybe 10-15 minutes and just played this with the left hand, and all of a sudden my son just fell asleep, and I was like, oh yeah, so it turned out to be sort of a lullaby. So it was quite a beautiful moment we had there, and totally accidentally. It wasn't prepared or anything. I was just walking around the house and then sit by the piano, and then all of a sudden I had this theme going, and I just love that, how accidentally inspiration can strike. my inspiration can be all sorts of things. It could be, I really enjoy watching people that are really talented at what they are doing, and I get really inspired by that. And especially when it's music related, if I see like this wonderful show with an artist or a musician playing his or her heart out and like really going for it, and that really inspires me, and I'm like, how can I apply that passion to my own work, or how can I use that technique and spin it in a way that so I can use that and develop my own artistry, and I love that, like having that inspiration like bounce around. But I'm very fond of being out in the nature and just getting a peace and quiet, because it's I think today's society is so jam-packed with all sorts of impressions, so I just want to get out and just hear the birds or the trees and the wind in the trees, and just be for a while and just don't do anything. And then you tend to think when you're alone, just walking around the woods, and then you might have this great idea of music, little melody, or it's happened that I have some melody and that I go and hum, and then I translate that into the piano or other instruments, obviously. But yeah, I also think it's I've worked on this a lot since I've been doing a lot of production music in my early composer years, that I know how to trigger my inspiration, so I don't need to like sit around and wait for inspiration to strike. I really need to it was also due to I needed to pay my bills. I needed to pay or sell a certain amount of works to pay the bills. And so I was like, yeah, I need to do this. So I found ways of starting those inspiration fields. I just head straight into the music. So yeah, I'm sitting here in the beautiful PH piano showroom here in Copenhagen, and I gotta be honest, I didn't know about PH piano before, but I do think I've seen pictures of it because they are very beautiful pianos, and they are in all sorts of magazines all over. So I've seen it before, but it was so much fun coming here and just being invited here and playing on these very special instruments. The first thing that pops into mind when you see one is that it's such a eye-catching piece, and it's like a work of art. It's like when you go into a room where there's a standard grand piano, you're like, oh, a piano. But when you come in and see a PH piano, it's like, oh, is that a piano? And there's so many questions that pops into mind, and you being so, it's so interesting. You get sucked in and wanna feel and try it out and see.
What were your questions when you came in and you saw them for the first time in real life? What were you curious about?
Yeah, I mean, it's so many things, but it's like, well, the sound obviously. So I just had to try it out at once, and yeah. So the bow grand piano, it was really, I really liked that one because also the fact that you have the holes in the lid, you don't need to have the lid open to get sound towards yourself. And I'm very drawn to mellow sounding piano sound. So having that feature was perfect for my sound. And the fact that that was so organic but still a piece of art and like so beautiful to look at, it was really, yeah, inspirational, for sure. Well, so the piano I played today, it's a lot of fun playing because I'm very drawn to mellow sounding pianos, and it had great dynamics all over, and the bass was very full, but very organic, and you didn't have those harsh highs in both the bass and the top of the piano, and it was very well tamed, the high end of the piano. So yeah, I felt like it was a very it was very well put together, like sound wise. So you really could get going with your improvisations and so on. I mean, there's two different sides of what's exciting about the piano industry right now, because I feel like it's both like the piano building part of the thing, like having all these custom pianos being built all over the world, and well, the PH piano, for instance, it's such a work of art. And then because I don't like how it's been before, when there's been a standard, this is how a grand piano should be, and there's this one brand that's the guiding pole. It's like that's what we measure good piano after, and I feel like that's so limiting, because there's so many other pianos out there, and there's so many sounds and creative ideas to be explored. So I feel like I love the trend that's coming now, that smaller businesses all over the world is trying to rework the piano as an instrument and putting their own spin to it. And yeah, it's really exciting for me as a composer and pianist, because I get to see all these amazing new tools for me being built all over, and I'm like, how could I utilize that in my composition and my work? And it's it's about time, because I've always been so jealous about like other instrumentalists, like guitarists, for instance. They can play so many instruments because they play guitar. There's so many wonderful string instruments out there. But as a pianist, you are very limited what's the options. So yeah, I just love the variety of different brands right now. But then also the other part, like with the piano industry for the musicians, and how that's changing, and you see what kind of piano players are emerging, and it's so different from the the more traditional way of a concert pianist, for instance. Just seeing all these wonderful neoclassical composers emerge from everywhere, and how they are able to sell out huge concert halls playing instrumental music. It's just amazing to see. Yeah, it's really hard to say what my dream my dream feature of a piano would be. Yeah, it could be whatever, but I'm very drawn towards the pianos that are very mellow in sound. So if you somehow could elaborate on that, it would be very interesting. I mean, talking about the whole piano industry and how I would like it to develop, I would love to see even more crazy pianos and like more guts from the piano makers out there, and just new concepts and new crazy ideas. It would be, because now there's actually a lot of people that are seeking for something special within the piano sphere. So yeah, it's very interesting and very exciting to be a part of it, or like as a bystander see how everything turns out, and come and see these lovely pianos. It's wonderful. I'm very excited about the future for instrumental music. It's I think one thing that I love with neoclassical music as well is that I reach so many people that I wouldn't have reached if I were a regular traditional pianist. And it's amazing to see that people do enjoy instrumental music, and they don't need this like super intense top line to like the music in question.